Let's give them their flowers, y'all. Now, before we begin, we'd just like to ask that you please silence your cell phones for the duration of the program. I'll give you a second to do that. Okay. Now, I don't have too much more to say, so without further ado, please join me in welcoming Shout Mouse Press.
Youth by Langston Hughes. We have tomorrow.
Bright before us.
Like a flame,
Yesterday, a night gone thing.
a sundown name.
And dawn today.
Broad arch above the road we came.
We march.
March.
Hello, everybody. How are y'all feeling tonight? That was like kind of meh. How are you actually feeling tonight? Okay. We'll work on it. My name is Sasa, and it's so wonderful to be here with all of y'all today. I am one of the co-editors of the book, and I will be one of the co-hosts for this event tonight. If I could please have my lovely co-host, Kathy Crutcher, come on stage with me.
Hello, friend.
Hello.
And hello, everybody out there. I'm Kathy. I am the deeply proud founder of Shout Mouse Press. Woo! I see so many of our Shout Mouse family from the past 10 years here. Thank you. I also see a bunch of new faces, so welcome. We are super happy to have you here. As you may know, we coach young people to write and publish diverse and inclusive books. Sasa is one of our authors. As she just said, she was also my co-editor of this anthology tonight. And we basically kind of acted like co-hosts through the book. Like we have conversations throughout the book, kind of like we're podcasters telling the story behind the story. So, yeah, so we thought we would do something like that here for you on stage tonight as we launch Bright Before Us Like a Flame, celebrating 10 years with Shout Mouse Press.
Okay, I'm the type of host who I get energy from the audience and then I feed it back and then we have this cycle going on. So can we all do just a deep breath together? Okay, later on I'm gonna ask y'all how y'all feeling and I need a lot, okay? So I can give a lot back. Before we get into all of the host of things we have planned for y'all tonight, we're gonna begin with a land acknowledgement as we always do. We remember and honor that we are broadcasting from the unceded home of the Piscataway and near the homes of the Powhatan, Pamunkey, Chickahominy, and Monacan and other native nations. We remember that this nation is made from looted land and constructed with looted labor. We remember that Black people have built this imperial capital and that Black people are still leading struggles for liberation to this very day. Thank you. Shout Mouse, we always start these events with a land acknowledgement because it really helps to contextualize the work that we're doing in our books in this space together. So thank you all for doing that with us. Can I hear how you're feeling now? Okay, I'm still not hearing much from the back, but I'm gonna pass it over to Kathy.
Okay, so tonight we're gonna pull back the curtain on how this anthology came to be, starting with the title. So as you just heard, Bright Before Us Like a Flame is a line from a poem called Youth by Langston Hughes. And when Alexa Patrick, shout out Alexa, our programs director, suggested it, we were all like, yeah, that's perfect. It's got Langston, our DC poet hero, youth at the center, looking towards the future with hope, but also with urgency and a call to action, which is what we really need right now.
For us, it was a reminder that young people aren't really just the future, like a lot of people like to say, but they're also the present. Young people have a lot to share, and the world really just needs to listen because they are clued into what needs to be done in the world today.
So Sasa and I had to pull from across 10 years of 64 Shout Mouse books in order to choose the pieces that went into this anthology. So we had a couple different criteria. One, they needed to be as diverse and inclusive as Shout Mouse itself, showcasing a really broad range of identities and experiences of our author communities. Also, the wide range of genres that we write in. So our authors write children's books, YA novels, poetry, comics, memoirs, pretty much you name it.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff, all the things. And they needed to uplift really essential, authentic stories that often are not told or are not heard, because that's what drives our mission.
And so we were doing the absolute most in this book. When I tell y'all, it was a lot of work. And as we were going through and picking all of these stories, we also wanted to make sure that they were engaging enough to be teaching tools, because we wanted to be able to really do that, ignite that spark in the young people who are reading the book. And so throughout the book, we have prompts and other things to really, really focus in on the subtitle and ignite the new generation of writers. It was a lot, but it was great.
Okay, so that's the dream. And the other thing that we really leaned into when structuring this book was being in conversation.
Like we are now.
Like, we're so meta.
Thank you.
So to be in conversation, that means that we invited in folks who are in community with us to contribute to the book, starting with the incredible artwork. Is Jamila Okubo in the house? I know she is on her way. All right, folks. Jamila Okubo, listen to that name. She is the cover artist for our work. She illustrated her first book with Shout Mouse in 2016, and now she is a celebrated artist doing book covers for Zora Neale Hurston releases, etc. Yeah, she's awesome. All right, and then we also invited in some adult authors who are in community with us to contribute pieces that were like in conversation with our youth work. So like Elizabeth Acevedo wrote the foreword, and Clint Smith, Safia Hilo, Jose Olivares, Tony Keith Jr. somewhere in the house. There we are.
You can always find Tony in the house because he's like the loudest, most engaged audience members. I love it. We also had to make sure, or we also had literal conversations in the book. So not just works that were in conversation, but also like me talking to Safia El Hilo and some of the other artists in this room, Santos talking to Jose Olivares. And so it was just a really, really cool experience, way to lean into this idea of intergenerational conversation and conversation between authors.
Finally, the question that we always ask before sitting down to write a new book is, why now? So 2 reasons. We had long been thinking about marking this 10-year milestone this way by uplifting the stories that our youth authors had created to inspire new writers to create new stories. It just seemed like the best way to honor the young people who are at the core of our work.
There's also a lot going on in the world right now, and we really wanted to acknowledge that and deal with that in the book, because we know that when young people are involved in these issues, that's really how you make a change. There's so much going on, including a genocide in Gaza, the federal occupation of major cities, including this one. There's a cutting of funding to essential services as well as the arts. And so there was just so many different points that we realized we needed our young people to come and touch on, and that they had already touched on. And we wanted to really elevate those voices now.
And I'll also just name the challenges that are hitting closest to home for our Shout Mouse author community, like the targeting of immigrants and the censoring and silencing of queer voices and identities. So, look, these things are really important to name. They're happening. We're not going to avoid them. And so important not to feel hopeless about, right? We are all gathered here in this room not to feel hopeless, but to do something together in community. This is the work of a writer. You name it, you explore it, you run it through your own uniquely you filter, and then you do something about it. Ideally something that's going to open up possibility for a different future.
And we believe that that's the power of youth writers, dreaming and writing and making better worlds come into existence. And so that's the mission behind this book.
All right, see, that's the hope, that's the energy that we need. Thank you, Sasa. All right, and thank you all for being here. So what can you expect tonight?
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. So next, you are going to hear from a number of the youth authors whose work is featured in this book. They'll be
Woo-woo.
reading excerpts. Woo-woo. All right, after that, you're going to hear some of those authors will be in conversation with our special guest, Jason Reynolds, in the house. And after that, we're going to celebrate. We'll celebrate the authors, celebrate each other. We've got a reception out in the lobby. You can get books signed, photos. There's snacks and drinks. All
All the
right?
things.
So, you guys ready? Yeah. All right, all right.
We are so excited to be here with you tonight, so let's get started. Cool.
All right. Okay, I get to introduce our first author. We're bringing up. This is an author who's near and dear to my heart in many ways. This is Carl Brown. So, Carl is one of our very first Shout Mouse authors. We met him in the fall of 2013 at Ballou High School. He was part of the Ballou Story Project for all 4 years in high school. And in that project, we coached students to write personal essays that could be used for college and scholarship applications and then publish them so they could be models for other high school students. Carl, come on up and start us off.
Yeah, I know, right? Woo. All right, how we doing, everyone? Great. Yeah. I just want to say it's been an absolute honor and pleasure to be part of Shout Mouse Press and the amazing work that they're doing and having such a close connection with their amazing founder. It's hard to believe it's already been almost 8 years since that first encounter. So, yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here today and be part of this new project. Yeah, like Kathy said, I'll be reading from, thank you so much, sorry. Can people hear me well? All right, cool. Like Kathy said, I'll be reading from an excerpt of How to Grow Up Like Me. Again, this was a book that we did a collection of authors in Ballou High School. When I was really young, we lived in a shelter for about a year. My mother and my grandmother used to argue a lot about things I couldn't understand, and my grandmother kicked my mother out. So we moved to the shelter. There were 4 of us, me, my 2 older brothers, and my mother. I didn't really know what was going on, but I didn't think that this was like a weird or unordinary thing. I was young at the time. Ma said that we were going to be there for just a little while, but we ended up living there for 6 months. When I finally realized that what living in a shelter was, I felt surprised to find out that I didn't have a home. The shelter was made up of different dorms. There were different rooms for different groups of people, but we were all mixed together, young, old, men, women, tall, short. While we were living in the shelter, my mother used to go out a lot, and we would have a babysitter watch us. We would have lots of fun and go places like the movies or parks, and we would always get treats as well. We attended daycare at the shelter. It was just like a classroom, but with toys and a big TV. We learned things and had fun. The shelter was very friendly, and I made lots of friends and memories. When we moved, I was pretty sad because I would miss the friends and memories that I made there. The shelter had become my home in a way, but still, there wasn't enough privacy or not enough space. We wanted a place where we could live by our own rules. We wanted freedom. Thank you.
If my forehead had a mouth, that would have been great. But since it doesn't. All right, next up, I would like to welcome Shola Chantel Shota. Shola is one of the student poets of parents of Generation Hope. I said poets because I'm a poet. I just made that up. Shoutmouse partners with Generation Hope to coach their college-going young parents to write Mini Mirrors series. These are board books inspired by their children that celebrate diverse families. These books are written collaboratively. 3 authors work together, and a Shoutmouse story coach and an illustrator help to ensure that all children see themselves on the page from the youngest age. Please welcome Shola with a loud round of applause.
Hello, my name is Shola Chantel. I go by Shola. In the front cover of our book is Sebastian. Sebastian's here in front. He's recording. Just to give you guys a heads up, when I wrote this book, I was a kindergarten teacher. So, as I'm reading this book, the teacher voice may or may not turn on. Sebastian apartment family. I'm Sebastian. I live here with my mom. She's a student, and I'm her son. During the day, when mommy goes away, I go to our neighbors to play. On Mondays, I stay with Mr. and Mrs. Howie. He's a writer. He reads me poetry out loud. On Tuesdays, I see Mr. and Mrs. Ivy. Their parents fly around and say hi to me. On Wednesdays, I go over to Mrs. Shoda's. We make doubles. She says, I'll show you. On Thursdays, I go visit the Brauners. I like playing with their 2 daughters. On Fridays, mommy's off, so we beat our feet. We dance to go-go, and we eat fun treats. On Saturdays, we make things clean and neat. Sebastian, mommy says, don't sweep my feet. On Sundays, it's church. We get all dressed up. Grandma comes to pick us up. I hope you enjoy your week with me. And now you met my apartment family. When mommy has to go and a new week begins, it's not goodbye. It's I'll see you again.
All right. Okay, our next author to bring up is from the section in Bright Before Us called Immigration and Belonging. We're going to invite up Santos. So we met Santos, I get to introduce you first. We met Santos in the summer of 2017 during our first partnership with the Latin American Youth Center, where we support immigrant youth in telling authentic stories about their lives. Santos was part of an incredible group of young people who wrote Voces Sin Fronteras, which is a bilingual graphic memoir collection that is telling true stories of immigration. This book is our most celebrated, most requested, most read book out there. It is read in schools across the country, which is a testament to the courage they put on the page. And Santos has been one of its strongest champions and leaders. So I'm honored to know Santos and really happy to bring her up on stage.
I'm very short. Here you go. That's better. All right, how we doing? So I'm Santos, like Kathy say. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. Many faces looking at me, just 2 eyes back. But I'm from El Salvador, by the way. I'm from El Salvador. And my story is called I Cross Barriers to Change Myself. It's under the name of Armenia. I drew a comic and I wrote an essay. So right now I'm going to talk a little bit about part of my essay. When I made the decision to come to the United States, I knew I was leaving my family. but it was the only choice that I had. Everything about the journey to come to United States, I knew I was leaving them, but that was my only choice. Everything about the journey was hard, especially the desert. I walked for 3 nights and 2 days with no shoes, only socks. I had a small bottle of water, but it was not enough. It was small and it was shared with other people. Some days I cannot believe I ever made it, but here I am. I think it is important to tell my story because it can be a motivation for other young people. For example, if I have gone through all of this and I still continue, whatever problem they are facing, now they have my experience as an example. And they can think, I can do it as well. Also, I want people to understand that we are here fighting for our dreams, for opportunities. We are not criminals. We are here fighting for education. And if we are educated, this country is going to be better. Finally, I want people to know that being an immigrant, it doesn't make you any less strong. It is the opposite. It made me change into a better person, to think more about myself. In reality, I'm here fighting for my dreams. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Santos. So I host an open mic, and we have a rule where when we call somebody up, we clap them until they're standing in front of the mic. So I need y'all to do that with me, okay? We clap them all the way up. We don't stop, all right? What's the name of your open mic? My open mic is called If All the Trees Were Pens, and it's on the first and third Friday of every month at 6 p.m. at the American Poetry Museum, so not too far from here. All right. Our next author is Joy Ugu. Joy is also a part of the collaboration with LAYC. Joy is an author from Chatmouse Press's Beyond Borders children's book series. This is a series in bilingual illustrated books by immigrant youth, centering the stories of immigrant families. Joy started writing with SMP in 2021 and has been a much requested author talk speaker ever since. Please clap her all the way up. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. As Sashta mentioned, my name is Joy, and I wrote this book at a very interesting time. It was around COVID, like right after 2020 when the COVID craze was happening, and I think it was a chance for everyone to stay at home. And I remember feeling very nostalgic at that time, going through childhood books and things that I used to enjoy when I was younger. And I just remembered how when I was younger, there weren't many novels with people that looked like me. So I just wanted to take the Shoutmouse opportunity to create a book that introduced people who look like me, who had culture similar to mine, or just came from a diverse culture. So I'll be reading an excerpt from my book, Joy Grace and the Dress Dilemma. My name is Joy Grace, and I'm a fashionista. I love pink and yellow and poofs and glitter. All of my friends know me for my bright, colorful dresses. Look at my signature twirl. This week at school, we have Culture Day. To celebrate, we all have to bring in something to represent our culture. My friend Pablo says, I'm bringing my mother's cantarito from Guatemala. My friend Lisa says, I'm bringing my uncle's bagpipe from Ireland. My friend George is from the South. I'm bringing my grandmother's peach cobbler. What about you? I put my hands on my hips. I'm bringing a dress, of course. But what dress represents my culture? My mom is from Nigeria, my dad is from Ethiopia, I was born in Jamaica, and I've lived in America pretty much all my life. So how can I choose? So I'll just summarize a bit. She goes to 3 different family members for advice. Her Jamaican sister says, why don't you wear a quadrille dress, which is like a traditional dress worn at parades? Her Nigerian grandmother says, what about your beautiful akwa omuma from your uncle's wedding? And that means that's a wedding garment that is typically worn during events such as weddings. And her Ethiopian grandmother says, you should wear the tabeb I brought you from Ethiopia. And the tabeb is also another garment worn during special occasions like weddings and religious occasions. So picking up the text again, when we sit down for dinner, I'm wearing my tibet. How do I look, everyone? I do my signature twirl and put my hands on my hips. This is what I'm wearing for Culture Day. Don't wear that to dinner, my mom says. You're going to get it dirty. Neoche looks confused and upset. Mba, no. What about the dress I gave you? My sister whips her head towards me. What about my quadrille dress? Suddenly, everyone's talking at the same time. I shrink down and put my head on the table. Tears drop onto my dress. I don't want everyone to be sad, but I don't know what to wear. My mom puts her hands on my back. My dad says, "You're the fashionista. You'll figure something out."
All right, thank you, Joy. Rolling right along. Our next reader is from the section in Bright Before Us that is called Witness and Activism. We're going to hear from Tiaja. Now, I met Tiaja when she was like 12? Yeah, in 2015 through our partnership with Beacon House, where 10 girls came together on Friday afternoons for 2 years to write a collaborative novel called The Day Tejan Got Shot. I mean, talk about dedication and also ambition. This novel examines from 10 different perspectives what happens when a young Black boy is the victim of police violence. Tiaja.
Hi, y'all. Okay, so like she said, I'm Tiaja. I'm going to give a little background on the book. So, can y'all hear me? Okay. So, when I was 12, I was in 6th grade, I believe. And it was the time where Black Lives Matter movement was happening. And it was a mix of, I believe, early high school and early middle school. And it was a bunch of us. I think everybody was females, actually. So it was kind of hard writing different perspectives because, like, I'm going to say what part I wrote. It was Ashley, who is the cop's daughter, and she was white. So it was kind of hard talking about it from, like, her perspective because, obviously, I'm a person of color, and I don't have no dad that's a cop, so, you know. But I just spoke on how I would feel in a situation, and I know I'm very close with my dad, and so is my character, so, yeah. We were all amazed. We couldn't believe what we just saw, especially me. My stomach was hurting now. This could not be true. The video was so blurry and fast, so I couldn't know for sure, but I had suspicions about who the cop was. He was bald. And the way he ran, I'd seen that run before. Even the voice at the end. Didn't it sound a bit like the same man who cheered for me on the basketball court and used to tell me stories at night? Could the cop who shot Tejan really be my dad? But why would he? I couldn't imagine him doing something like that. My dad would never shoot an innocent boy. But I did know he often patrolled in the area Tejan was in. And from what I saw in the video, I couldn't say it wasn't him. All I knew in that moment was that I couldn't tell my friends. They probably didn't even know that my father was a cop. Most people saw cops as a threat and didn't like them. So I didn't really tell anybody what he did. Sometimes it was hard to keep the secret because I wanted to tell my friends how much I missed him when he was at work and how I worried about him. But I knew they might tease me or stop hanging out. So I always thought that story would just have to wait, and especially now. I've been staring off into space, not really listening to the other girls acting all shocked. But then I heard Angel say, What are you going to do with the video? I think you should put it on Twitter and tag the news people. My heart dropped. You'll be famous, Angel said. I don't want to be famous, Braziah said. I just want justice. And then she did it. While I stood there watching and trying not to panic, she put it on Twitter and added a caption, #Justice for Tajon. Within a minute, it was already being retweeted. It was amazing how fast it spread. All I could think was, please, God, don't let that cop be my dad.
Thank you so much, Tiaja. Next, I'd like to call up Lauren May, who is a Shout Mouse Press story coach and will be reading for one of our authors, Nora Love, who could not be here tonight. So sending love to Nora Love. Nora was part of our Queer Youth Voices project, where Shout Mouse invited young people who are part of the queer community to write and submit pieces exploring love in all its iterations. Family love, friendship love, romantic love, self-love, all the things. The book is called The Light Looks Like Me, and it just came out in June of this year. Clap it up for that. Yeah. Lauren was one of the incredible story coaches for this project, and we're grateful to have her stepping in for Nora. Clap her all the way up, all the way up.
Hi. Wow, a little nervous here. I hope I do the poem some justice. Hi, everybody. I'm Lo, and I was a story coach on Shout Mouse's Queer Youth Voices project, and I have the honor of reading the Self-Love Manifesto for Black Queer Women by Nora Love. I am a butterfly breaking free from its cocoon, a turtle slowly emerging from its shell to show the world the softness I have to offer, a precious piece of platinum, a rare find that has endless value. I am the moon that glistens in the darkness to provide comfort, the sun's crown shining ever so bright, kissing you with warmth, a star among stars that twinkle in the midnight. I am a willow wide with pride. My leaning branches bless the ground. A quince contagious color bright as a flame whose thorns protect my body. A waterfall ever flowing with healing energy whose hush rushes to a pool of calm. I am an in-between sky needing release to downpour without judgment. A delicate dandelion not waiting to be blown away. A volcano bubbling with lava, ready to explode, but is at ease. And the Cyan Sea with secrets not yet sealed, expansive, vast, limitless. And just with that, I am everything. I am her.
Okay, thank you for stepping in, Lo. We appreciate it. Our next author to bring up is Riley. So we met Riley in 2019 through our partnership with Reach Incorporated, who was our founding partner for Shout Mouse. We worked with Reach teens for 8 years every summer to coach their DC high school students to write books for second and third graders that they tutored. So 32 books came from that partnership. Riley wrote 2 of them. She is going to read from one of them tonight. Riley, come on up.
All right. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, quick little context. This book came out in 2019. This was during a time where on social media, and this is always prevalent throughout our culture, but on social media, there was a lot of talk of like what boys should do, what boys shouldn't do. We saw it a lot in our schools. And me, London, and Sherelle just really wanted to write a story to young boys about this is what you can do. Express your emotions regardless. So we had a story. We had a young boy named Aaron, and we came up with a lot of different story titles. For a long time, we settled on Aaron is a Crybaby, but that just didn't really stick with us. So we eventually settled on another title. We really wanted to go with something that people hear every single day. If we wanted a story about toxic masculinity, what is the most common phrase that people hear when talking about toxic masculinity? So, hi, my name is Riley, and I'm going to read an excerpt from my children's book, Man Up. What's wrong with your eyes? His dad asked. Nothing. Aaron looks at the floor. I know you were crying. What's going on? Aaron tells his dad about the video game and the dog and Sage not answering his call. His dad just shakes his head. Maybe your friends are right. Maybe you need to stop crying so much. Maybe you need to man up. Leave that crying for the girls. And then, the next day on the bus, things just keep getting worse. He gets made fun of when he compliments a girl's doll. The whole bus starts chanting and laughing, Aaron likes dolls. When Aaron gets home, Sage is waiting there for him with roller skates. His dad says, look who's here. He came to surprise you. Sage says, hey man, sorry for ghosting you. Want to go to Crystal Skate Palace? Aaron feels better right away. While they're skating, Sage asks Aaron, so why did you call me the other day? Aaron takes a deep breath. Sage, do you cry? He asks. Sometimes, when I feel overwhelmed. Is that why you called me? To talk about crying? Everyone calls me a crybaby, and it makes me feel like I should run away, and I know I should just man up, but Aaron looks away from his brother, embarrassed. Let's get some pizza and talk about it, Sage says. When they sit down, Sage continues. Look, little bro, it's okay to cry. It took me years to learn that, though. Dad taught me that crying is for girls, but after I went to college, I realized that crying is normal. Normal? Nobody acts like it's normal. Not for boys, at least. Well, they're wrong. It releases stress, which is something I need sometimes. If you keep it pent up inside, you get angry. And too much anger is not good for anybody.
Okay, we have one last youth author that we need to hear some original work from. You've seen her on stage, but you haven't heard her work. Sasha Akil. So we met Sasa in 2018? Yes, 2018, through our partnership with the Next Wave Muslim Initiative. So in this project, we invited 10 young people who were all Muslim and American to write about the vast array of identities and experiences within that Muslim American community. Sasa, we just fell for her from the start. She was, you know, a fierce and talented poet, and she has served as Shoutmouth's intern and author fellow, and as you know, co-editor of this anthology. Come on up, Sasha.
I think the choice to show photos from like back in the day is wild. Because look at me. It's crazy. I don't know why I'm smiling like that. All right. I'm so happy to read for you all a poem that I wrote entitled Worksheet Number 1. This poem confuses people because they think they're supposed to fill it out. You're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to make you think. Worksheet number 1. Fill in the blank. Come celebrate with me the fact that every day Blank has tried to kill me and has failed. Something, nothing, or everything. Multiple choice. 1. When I told the teacher what happened, she didn't A, know, B, care, C, both didn't know or care, D, neither didn't know nor didn't care, E, something in between. 2. Some days I feel I have to apologize, A, for my skin, B, to my skin, C, not at all. 3. When he called me less than human, his voice became A, dagger, B, a bullet, C, a noose, D, my funeral, E, my pain, F, my fear, G, my reason to keep going. This wouldn't have happened to me if I were A, white, B, male, C, straight, D, rich, E, privileged, F, American, G, all of the above. 5. If I keep going because A, I'm strong, B, I have no other choice, C, I want to prove them wrong, D, I have dreams, E, I have everything to live for, F, I can, G, blank needs me, H, why wouldn't I? Essay questions. How do you celebrate the fact that you're still breathing? Who named you? What have you named yourself? If you could throw yourself a party to celebrate simply being alive, who would you invite? Why? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sasa. All right, so those are our Shout Mouse youth authors. Pretty incredible stuff. We are now moving into the part of the program where a few of those youth authors will be in conversation with the one and only Jason Reynolds. Now, I have the honor of introducing Jason, and I have to say I went to an event of his last week where they read out the full bio with like all the awards and the accolades and the Genius Grants and the ambassadorships, and like, I just gotta tell you, it's getting awkward, Jason. Like, you gotta slow down a little bit. And so, you know, you all know this, right? You know that Jason is a national treasure. You know that list of things. So I'd rather introduce him with something you might not know, which is how Jason came to join the Shout Mouse Megaphone Board. So I thought of the idea of a megaphone board in spring of 2020, good times, and as a way to more formally invite in some of the adult authors who'd already been really generous with their support of our work to make them officially part of the Shout Mouse fam, call them the Megaphone Board, help us amplify our youth authors' voices. So once Meg Medina and Clint Smith and Liz Acevedo had all said yes, then I got the courage to ask Jason. And I sent him an email on May 22nd, 2020. I looked it up. And I hit send and held my breath and crossed my fingers and hoped he would say yes. And 3 days later, George Floyd was murdered. And the country erupted, and it was a dark and terrible time. And so when Jason's reply landed in my inbox like a week later, I remember I was on a walk trying to clear my head, and I checked my email. Not good for clearing your head, but I did it. And there was Jason's name, and my heart sank because I just thought, there's no way he could say yes right now, not in this moment. The world is just too much. Of course. And this is what Jason's email said. As I'm sure you can imagine, life is a bit upended at the moment. So much work, so much pressure, so much pain. But we press on. That being said, sign me up for the Megaphone Board. And to me, that is the only introduction Jason will ever need, is that he says yes and he shows up for young people again and again, even in, maybe especially in the hardest times. And for that, we are all deeply grateful. Jason. Okay, and I need Santos, Shola, Riley, and Sasa.
Everybody good? Thank you for that. You know, there's, I think for so many of us, and I'm sure many of you will agree, and for those of you in the audience who do this work, you know, for some of us, this is, it's like salvific, you know? I think we come from different spaces and we go through what we go through. And for a lot of us, we're trying to find ways to write ourselves a buoy. You know what I mean? It's like, forgive me, I'm like, you know, like what I said in 2020 as far as pressing on is pretty much what my life is and what most of our lives are. And I think we have to figure out what are the things that are worth pressing on for, right? And I think, so for me, labor is like one doesn't know how strong a back is if one never uses the back, right? And so labor becomes a salvific ordeal. It's a function that has the ability to save us. We look at it as like the opposite, like a thing that is breaking us, but the truth is most of the time, it's what we use to save us. Now, all that being said, I also think it's always a bit funny at these events that they always are so serious, because if you ever met a writer, most of us are not serious people. And so so thank you for having me, and now I will start this panel. But I want to say thank you, and thank you to all of you, and thank you for the work that you've done. And it's got to be weird to hear work you wrote a long time ago, because we ain't asked you. I'm not gonna ask you like what you really feel about it now, like 10 years removed, because I already know the answer. So here's where we'll start. Here's where we'll start. I was a 16-year-old when I was selling books out of the trunk of my mother's car. Tony Keith was one of my friends, even all the way. We in our 40s, so this is a long. I mean, you know what I mean? You look amazing, and we should celebrate that we still are holding on, right? But we in our 40s now. But a million years ago, I was selling my book out of the trunk of my mama's car. And I remember when I got, back then you had to get your books printed from a printer. They sent them to your house, and there's like a box of books, and then you had to like figure out how to make these move, right? It was like drug dealing, right? It was like, I gotta, you know what I mean, figure out how to make it work. But I remember the first time I held it and I saw my name on something, and I saw my words on a piece of paper that I didn't print out of my mama's computer, right? I remember it felt different. And so my question to you all is, what did it feel like for you to be young authors?
I can start with it. What does it feel to be author at 15? I mean, not 15, 19. I came when I was 15 to this country, so I'm mistaking it. It feels like I can say it was the perfect opportunity to speak up for those who doesn't have a voice. When we did Voces Sin Fronteras, it was presidential elections, the same what is going on right now. And when we did it, that was the perfect moment to share who youth are, especially on my audience, on my like Voces Sin Fronteras, what we did to show who immigrants are, the story behind immigrants. And I feel that being author of that age, I can say is a privilege, because not everyone One, not everyone have the opportunity to speak up. Two, they don't have the opportunity of the community to support them, what I did with Chatma was in an organization. And three, the opportunity to represent thousands of immigrant youth, and like any youth or anyone who wanna know about our stories. I just feel that was the perfect moment to share something that have been in the shadow for many years. And it doesn't matter what kind of a story we're sharing. What it matters is who you are and why you are doing it, the purpose of the books.
So your question is basically asks us, why did we write these books?
Or just what did it feel like?
For me, it felt like I had nothing to lose. So at the time when I wrote this book, I was just finishing Trinity College. I had a son when I was 19. So like I was in the middle of trying to figure out what was my next move, knowing that I was a teen parent, knowing that like, hey, I just graduated. What is the next step? So writing this book gave me this opportunity to tell my story, but tell it in a way that no one has ever heard it beforehand. Because when you think of a teen parent, you think of all those stereotypes that come along with it. Not being able to finish school, not able to do the things that people who are considered normal, who don't have a child when you're a teenager. So me writing this book made me remember that I have nothing to lose but everything to gain.
I would have to agree with both. For Man Up, it came out when I was 16. And at the time, I was in high school. I was going to Ballou. Shout out Knights. And go Knights. And it was just a really weird and interesting time for me because I was trying to find myself as a person. And I had a lot to say back then. I got a lot to say now. And it was a point in my life where I really wanted to like tell a story or like, especially in social justice. It was 2019, it was right, like, that's like my coming of age, like, I have all these things that I wanna say about gender, about sexuality, about race, about class, and I just wanted to tell a story, and Reach and Shout Mouse gave me that perfect opportunity. So it wasn't really until after the book came out and I got to do an interview with the Washington Post where it really settled in for me, like, wait, I actually like wrote a whole actual book, like in real life. Like, I wrote a book. And in Shout Mouse, I think, and Reach did a really good job of almost making us feel like a celebrity. But I think the biggest thing was being able to take this story and share it, with, like, I'm in the education space, I'm a teacher, share it with all the people at my college, share with, love teaching. It's hard, I had no idea. Shout out to Miss C, I'm sorry, she taught me at Ballou, love her down, and I had no idea that teaching was so hard. Girl, it's crazy. But it wasn't until like being able to take this story that I wanted to have as a kid and then like as 16 and then now share it with my students who are going through this exact same thing. I don't know, it's crazy, it's weird. But I love that I had the opportunity to really put pen to paper and tell that story. Yeah.
For me, I can just say I felt immense pride. I was proud of the work that I had put into the anthology. I was proud of the anthology overall. I was proud of my peers. It was cool because I got to write this book with a bunch of people that I grew up with, so it was like a really good experience. But I also felt like it was just the beginning, like strap on your boots, got a lot of work to do, like got to go climb this hill, you know. And I think both in the fact that one, I was like, I want to be published more, you know, I want to be a writer, but also in that I think a lot about, and I think I put it somewhere in the book, I think a lot about my younger sister and like kind of making a kinder, more just, more understanding world for her. And so, yeah, we published the book and I was like, this is great and I'm so happy and I'm so proud of this. What's next?
Word. I want to ask just a few individual questions. You know, first of all, my first question is going to be for you, Shola. First, let me say I was sitting with your son, And it's always so funny because, you know, everybody get on stage and you like all the things that I've done in my life. And so he came and sit next to me and I was like, what's up, no? What's up, bro? What's up? Nothing. Just turned away. And I was like, word. And then you turned around and he was like, I need to go to the bathroom. I need you to take me. I'm like, yeah, you got it right. Like the star is the star, right? Your mama's always the star. You know what I mean? Like you definitely got it right. My question was about the story and about the book that you wrote. I'm always interested in these things. One, the story itself is a story about like village, right? And a story about how like that despite what people think, we actually do take care of our own, right? We have ecosystems that people don't quite understand, but that we know are there for us. There is infrastructure there for us, even if it is unconventional, right? But we do have infrastructure that we work within. And so my question to you is, and one, how important is collaboration in life, but also collaboration in the making of something like this? I think when people think of writers, they think that we all are like, it's all solitary. But the truth is that sometimes we are working with other people. So talk a bit about that kind of work, like the collaboration, and also just how important it is to collaborate in life.
So for Sebastian's apartment family, it was two, three? I think it was two other writers. We were a part of Generation Hope. So Generation Hope is for teen parents. They gave us the space of the mental, the physical, and also the financial needs for us to finish school. So when we all came together to write this book, we knew we wanted to talk about our kids. We knew we wanted to incorporate how did we get to the point of being in college and finishing college. So we all thought about it like, hey, we all need a village to finish school. Whether that's your parents, your significant others, and things like that. But for me specifically, I realized that my family, our family in general, was the anchor that we needed. So to raise a child, it just doesn't take you and your partner. So for me, for example, it was just me. But as we were all reflecting and writing about, trying to figure out what we wanted to make this book about, we realized that your family doesn't always have to look about somebody who's closely related to you. And we thought about all these ideas of like how, like, hey, when you live in an apartment, you have all these people that you can also depend on. So like we were reflecting back on how like sometimes we may go to a next door neighbor when mom has to go to school or if my mom has to work late. So we try to anchor our story and making people realize that like your family is not only somebody that you're blood related to. And so like we were drawing from our personal experiences of how like, I'm not this old, I promise you I'm not old. But like we was like in the old days, we used to be able to go like roam our apartment buildings to like visit different neighbors and like they bring so much character to us, build characters in us because we know that we can trust them. But at the same time, we also realized that our parents didn't do it alone and we're not doing it alone as well. So, yeah, Sebastian's sitting there now with his camera recording me, just like being like using that collaboration and also realizing that like I am not alone and that like I can't do this by myself. Yeah. So for me, for example, like going to school, coming home late, working, I wouldn't have been able to do that without my family. I wouldn't be able to go to work without my family. So like all those things kept coming back when we were trying to brainstorm that book. We wanted to build in that culture, that collaboration to make people really understand that like it's just not only me. Everybody else around me also deserved that credit in order to make sure that this happened. So it was really cool just to see how our book came together. My mom is in the crowd, so like without her, I would never finish school. Without my mom, like right now I'm going through a PhD program. I work long hours. We work at KIPP. If you know KIPP has long hours for their teachers. Like you need that support system to help you get through whatever you need to.
And that is
so,
it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dad. Remind me, was dope is first of all, Sebastian also got skilled. He was zooming in. It was a lot happening with the camera. I was sitting next to him like, oh, he on it. You know what I mean? But I celebrate you and I celebrate that and celebrate your family and I think it's just a thing that I think we should talk more about. You know what I mean? Like we be all right. You know, and don't never trust nobody who said that they made it on their own. Because that's a lie. That person's a liar, right? You know what I mean? Don't nobody just become. My next question is going to be for Santos, and it's a little bit of a different kind of question. I've spent a lot of time thinking about and working with first-generation Americans and newly arrived Americans and immigrants and people who are trying to suss out this very strange country. And a lot of it has to do with like language, right? What are we going to do with language, right? And so can you talk, and I think literacy in America, though we all know that literacy is down, I also think that literacy, the way that we think about literacy is limited, right? It's a limited view of what literacy is. And so I actually want to talk a little bit about the drawings and how important it is. So I want to ask you why the drawings. I know it was a part of the project, but I do want you to lean in a bit to talk about the drawings and why visuals are important when it comes to literacy, when it comes to like the way we read, the way we take in information, that we never have to age out of imagery when it comes to storytelling.
Why drawings? We decided to do it that way because, of course, Spanish and English, but doing drawings, it can be to anyone. You don't have to know like any specific language. You can go to any part of the world, and you can just see it, and you can get into the book just by seeing it, and you can get into the story. If you see a girl dying on the floor, hiding from something, you know what is going on in there without reading anything. So I can say that is like another language without matter if you speak English, Spanish, Korean, or any language that you speak. And when we did it, on my personal opinion, was like, this is gonna be ugly because I didn't went to kindergarten, I don't know how to draw. So I was like, Kathy, I don't think this is gonna look good. I don't know how to draw. But later on, we're like, oh, it's not that bad. And what is unique about this is that we did our own drawings. So some of them are a little bit like off. That's why, because we did it. And that was the intention, to show, envision who we are, to show our stories in drawings. And if anyone really even like a third grade kid, they can do it on their own also. They can be like, oh, we can also do it. If a 40-year-old man can read it just by seeing it, they can be like, maybe I don't have to write about my story. Maybe I can just do a drawing. I'm going to say a lot of things in there. So that was one of the main purpose, to be a multi-language in there just by doing a draw. And it was very special when we did it because it was a process of healing also. Everyone was kind of like having their own process, drawing their own stories to get to the point like, they are beautiful. I didn't know how to draw them, but they are beautiful because I did it, because I'm telling my story, because not the media, nobody else is saying it. I'm saying it on my own. I'm doing it the way that I want to do it. And that's unique because there can be a lot of stereotypes, or they can say who we are, but if you are not saying it, then you don't know what is going on in there. So that was the most important for us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. For all you parents in the room, all of it counts, right? The comic books and the graphic novels and the storytelling video games, they count. And the audio books, like it all counts, just to be clear. My next question is for you, Riley. As a crybaby, like self-proclaimed and also performed here in front of all of you, like, you know, it just never has bothered me, right? It's like a thing, I feel very free in that way. I feel very fortunate. There are much more obvious ways to tell this story. Usually, this kind of narrative involves violence, specifically as it pertains to boys. There's always it's always sort of like a, you know, I mean, when I was growing up, you know, you had your, like, if you fall down and you hurt yourself, you know, get up, shake it off, don't cry. You also had, like, if somebody put their hands on you, right? You're less if you decide anything other than violence. In your story, he's just sensitive, which is a powerful thing to see as someone who was the sensitive boy, right? He's just a sensitive kid. Like, he just is full, right? Some of us are that way, right? And do you know what I mean when I mean full? Some of us are that way. And so can you speak a bit about that, but also about storytelling as the empathy machine, right? Books as the empathy machine. Like, because what happens in a story like this is the little me's of the world, the kids who grew up, who become artists because they're full, right? They get to be humanized and normalized in a particular way. Even seeing like Big Homie come with an amputated leg, somebody who has experienced something painful, right? And for him to be the one to say like, yo, like, nah, like we all get to be human, and this is a human function. So can you just talk a bit about the humanity and the choice that's a choice, and the choice that you made?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for that question. While listening to it, it honestly made me think of your book, Long Way Down, when you talked about that cycle of violence.
Yeah.
And that's honestly a lot of at the time, I can't say that was the inspiration, but as like, that was pretty much like the move behind it, because at 16, that was what we were experiencing, where we had friends that were dying, where we had boys that were actively, like, they were fighting. Like, we were in high school. Like, it was not, like, a lot of people say, like, BBB. Like, we know how it get down in Ward 8, but it starts when you're young. And so to your point of wanting to have a story where for those boys, those self-proclaimed crybabies, those boys that are just sensitive, which is nothing to be wrong with, here's a story for you, letting you know that it is okay, so we can have some type of tools so you don't get to that point where you're expressing your anger in a violent manner.
Yeah.
You're allowed to cry now, you're allowed to express yourself now, so when you get to high school, you already have a coping mechanism, so anger and violence is not the first choice that you go with. And that was really what the drive was behind it, because while we were having these conversations in our teenage circles, really the residual of the social media conversations that we're hearing from adults, the residual of the patriarchal conversations that we're hearing of what boys can and can't do, what girls can and can't do, all of that is trickling down to our young boys. And so they don't get the explanation behind why, they just get told to man up. So really the drive behind that story was giving them a platform of like, no, here, this is a story showing you like you can be who you want to be. You can cry, you can express yourself. There is no shame in that. There is nothing behind that. No ifs, ands, buts about it. You can express yourself because you are a person.
Yeah.
And I really love that you.
It's fire. I thank you. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? I feel like every bully's origin story is that he was a crybaby.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, I think he was just a crybaby who wasn't given the freedom to do so.
I see it now.
You know, and we've all seen it play out. We all know it. You know, you go to the block and you talk to their old heads, and their old heads are like, "What? He was like a little blah." It's like, yeah, now he's a killer, right? It's like, and now we got to deal with him. You know what I mean? Look what you did, right? So I think I'm just joking, sort of. But you know, like I just think there's power in that, and a lot of us are trying to get free. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it. Now, can I ask you a nerdy question? Your question, because I was thinking about it, I was sitting there. So, in worksheet number 1, Sasa, when I was a young writer, the one thing that I loved, but that nobody else around me loved so much, was form. Because when I was a kid coming up, it was almost, it's as if like we looked at form as something that was like a part of a particular establishment that we weren't allowed into. Form was the thing that was meant to keep us out. We saw form as a barrier. We saw form as sort of like it was a gate there for us. So we thought, right? It's the way that so many of us came up. It was like, yo, this is a way for us to express ourselves boundless, right? Without form. But what I know of form, having learned it and gone through all the things, is that it actually creates space for you to be more creative, right? It gives you just enough of a barrier for you to like actually play way harder than you thought you could had you been given no barrier, right? So can you just talk a bit about, because in worksheet number 1, you've chosen a form, right? Or at least you've chosen a format, right? And within that form and format, you do some incredible things that are subtle and sophisticated. Can you just talk a bit about choices when it comes to that? I'm asking you a writing question just because because I think it's important that as we discuss like self-expression, that we also discuss the fact that they are writers. It's a craft, right? They're all exercising a particular craft. Can you talk a bit about choice and form in this particular piece?
Yeah, I love a nerdy question, so thank you. It's actually really funny because as you were asking this question, I was thinking back to like what 15-year-old Sasa was thinking when she wrote this, and I don't know actually. I don't know what I was thinking. What I do know is that when I was 13 and I was like first getting into writing like poetry really really hard, I did this thing where I like went and researched all the forms that I could find, and then every day I sat down and I wrote to a different form. And I still have them all in my journal, and they were like bad poems. But what it did was it allowed me to explore and to really like find out what was possible, and then also like learn all of the technical ways that you can go about crafting a story. Because when we think of, poetry as a canvas and form as the medium that you're using, whether it's like oil pastel or paint or whatever, it's true that no matter what form it is, whether it's restricting you to 6 lines or 30, it's still boundless. And so I went and I did that. And then this particular poem, which I don't always say and I should say more often, was an after poem, really. It was a response to Won't You Celebrate With Me by Lucille Clifton, which I'm sure you can see in the first question and the second question. And for whatever reason, I had a response in me and I couldn't figure out how to get it out except through that format. And I don't know why that was the only way I could feel like I could articulate what I wanted to. But it was, and I think as I was going through it, I began to think about stories and thoughts and questions that weren't even my own. And I started to, just branch out and really, really wonder. And so I think I came at the poem from a place of questioning and a place of wondering. And then I wrote the poem and it was full of questions. And then I finished the poem and I was like, is this a poem? And I really found validation for it because I was really uncertain about it. But as we were writing, our anthology, I kind of found validation for the poem that I had written, and that's why it lives as it does now. But I don't know, 15-year-old Salsa was like on something else. She is.
I feel like the best version of me was definitely like 15. I was getting busy. Like I was like, my brain was just like, I could do it. And you know how when you're 15, 16, you really be like, I'm a genius, right? It's like, in my mind, I'm like a genius, right? I want to make sure to make sure I'm keeping track of time because I'm not keeping track of time. So is someone going to tell me? I think you can do maybe one more. I'll do one more? Okay, perfect. So here's my last question before we open it up. I once heard somebody who clearly is not very intelligent, say that to write joy and love is to put white paint on a white wall. Do y'all get that reference? Do you understand what I'm saying? Basically, it's boring. It's nothing, right? Which is unfortunate, but I do think a lot of people adhere to it. I do think a lot of people feel that way, or at least they write that way. It's like I don't want to write anything that is not sort of wrestling with a complex idea, which doesn't have to be void of joy, by the way. But we always go that way. Is to somehow not write anything of worth. So my question to you all is, what brings you joy in this time?
I can start with that. It's a hard question, right? Especially right now with everything that is going on. Mm-hmm. But I remember when I made the decision at 15 years old coming here, it was a hard decision, but all what I had with me was hope. And I feel that right now it's the same. We need to have hope. We have to be, I can say, resilient of what is going on. We have to keep fighting for it. And the best way to fight is to have your mind in peace. I know it's hard. And one way that we can do is by what we're doing right now, by speaking up. Because when we shy, everything is worse. the shadow power, get power over us. And another way it can be also doing things that we have never done before. Maybe even telling our friends or family how much we love them. Maybe you have been not talking to your friends for so long and you like how they're doing. Like on my experience, are they still here? Are they gone? So that's a good way also to enjoy, to start talking to those friends that you have for so long. And just trying to see the I can say like the side like that this is temporary, whatever is going on in our life or like in the world, everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent. And we have to keep the hope. Like the same way that I did when I came, I took a trip of 22 days, only with hope that I was gonna make it here, and I did it. And at that time, I didn't know the language, I'm still learning. And I did a lot of work until I became U.S. citizen, which it was hard, but I made it. And I just feel that this time is a time to reflect on how we're doing, how we have been doing in the past, and what can we do now to have a different future. Because when we came together, we can do better. And I do have a question for you also.
You have a question for me? Go for it.
I imagine, like, in your whole journey, you have been working with a lot of different type of authors. How do you feel working with young author, or what do you think we can teach others, despite our age?
All right, I'm gonna answer your question. After y'all answer my question, I will answer your question, and then we'll open it up.
I guess I can go next. If I'm not mistaken, your question is what brings us joy?
Right now, what's
Oh,
bringing you
right
joy?
now, living through my work. So I've taught kindergarten, first grade, and I'm a third grade teacher for the past 2 years. And I'm also in the process of getting my PhD in Black Studies. So because of this book, I recognize that I'm now somebody else's anchor, because I feel like people fail to realize that being a teacher, I can't do it by myself. Like, I have to pull in different resources. I have to rely on you as a parent. If this parent can't do this, I have to pull from other resources. So for me, just being a teacher for the past 3 years made me realize that, like, I'm now living through the work that I've been studying, writing on paper, talking about experience as a whole. So for me, what brings me joy is, yes, teaching is hard. Like, working long hours, taking papers home, calling parents when I'm not supposed to, like, trying to figure out different things. But I'm realizing, like, even in this moment that for the past 3 years, I've been somebody anchor. And to see those kids come back, they're now, like, in 4th grade. And some of them, I taught them in 1st grade, and now they're in my class for 3rd grade. So, like, just seeing that full circle moment of them, like, oh, my God, Miss S was my teacher. Like, that's my favorite teacher. Brings me so much joy, because it's making me realize that, like, I'm not just touching my child. Like, I'm touching somebody else, and they're passing that along to somebody else, which is really cool to see. So, like, when I get a little bit older, I'm not that old. They're going to come back. They're going to be in high school. I'm like, Miss S, did you remember? And I feel like there'll be that constant joy that just comes back full circle, knowing that I pushed something out there, and it's always going to come back.
Yeah. You don't even know how young you are, but you will. All right, and either of you?
I can go. I would definitely like to echo on the teaching sentiments. This is my first official year teaching, but thank you. But I've been in education for quite a long while now, actually just a little bit longer than when the book came out, because that book with Shout Mouse was like right before I started with Reach. So I was doing tutoring, and it's been long. And I would say right now what brings me joy is connecting with people, whether it be connecting through music, connecting through conversation, especially right now, a good long yap session is in me, or connecting through my students. They have been, as much as they get on my nerves, they are my pride and joy right now, and I haven't felt more alive and just like fulfilled than I have while I have been teaching. And like, these are the same kids that I had last year, and it's just like seeing them move around as little humans trying to navigate the world in all aspects, both academically, emotionally. It is fascinating, hilarious, And it's just really cool to see. They're so sweet. And just like to the point of emotions and being able to express your emotions, this is the most emotional, and I mean that in a positive way, group of kids I have ever met in my entire life. I got bracelets wazoo of good juju because they're like, Miss Campbell, you are stressed out. You need some shine, some love and support. And I just love these kids so much for that reason. So I would say right now they're bringing me the most joy.
They got different language.
Yeah, for sure.
I think for me, what's bringing me joy is also my work, like just art and community, and art and community and art in community. For me, I recently got to open up a ceramic studio in Brooklyn, not too far, and and I'm a ceramic artist. You know that. And I have been able to give access to my studio to people who used to be my classmates when I was at Howard, because right now the ceramics room at Howard University is under construction, and so they don't have access to that studio. And so being able to say like, hey guys, like come through, like I'll fire your work, like you can work here, I have clay. Being able to do that is really, really huge for me, and it's really, really what I wanted and needed and wished for. From the ages of 9 when I started doing clay stuff all the way until college. And so I just feel so blessed and so lucky to be able to do that. I also mentioned my open mic, and that's my pride and joy. We do open mics and workshops, and we recently published an anthology, and really being able to like create together, and to come together and to share our work, and also to cherish the work that's being shared and the energy that it took to get there, And so really, really just having art and community, even though everything sucks, leaving that out the door and coming together, and at least for a couple hours being able to love and support each other. Yeah. It's the best thing.
And I'll answer your question really quickly. Not everything sucks, Nina. Not everything. Language matters, not everything. All this work you just said you're doing, like everything sucks. Not all of it. So your question was about how does it feel when I work with the youth, and what do I think, what would I tell the youth? Like what could they be doing, or what should they be doing? First of all, I'm very, very careful about telling the youth that they should be. I'm like, tell me what to do at this point, because I know what I know, and I know what I know. I don't know what I don't know. I also know what I don't know, right? And so for me, what I'll say is I feel honored and challenged, and I feel that they've made me better. I've gotten to hang on to my youth, right? To my spirit. I've gotten to hang on to my moxie, right? Because you have to have it in order to work with them, and I'm grateful for that, because I think you need that. All the way through your life, you kind of got to have a little bit of that. If you lose your edge, like, who wants dull, right? And so I like to keep it pretty sharp, and the kids keep them pretty sharp. The other thing, though, is in terms of what do I think you all should be doing. You all aren't youth, by the way, so I can't, it's not really y'all, but former y'all. The truth is that I can tell you a lot of things, most of which you already know. The one thing I will say, though, is probably a little more boring and pedestrian, but probably the most important thing is y'all just got to read, yo. Y'all have to read. And I really mean, like, you have to read widely. You have to read as often as possible, especially if you are choosing to be a writer. You have to read. There is no getting around it. Also, if you're not choosing to be a writer, you have to read. There's no getting around it. All right, let's open it up for some questions. We have time for no questions. Can we get one question at least?
Maybe we can do one question. I'm guessing the people are hungry.
Well, can we
Good.
get?
Do we have one?
Do y'all have a question?
We got one. Yep.
We've got a microphone over here if you'd like to run over and, well, don't run, please.
So we'll take one, because I don't want to break any of the other rules. I mean, I do want to break the rules, but Kathy looks a little stressed, so.
This isn't really a question, but I wanted to say that we read Long Way Down in class recently, and usually reading and like sticking to it can be kind of hard for me, because like, especially if there's not like pictures, and how Long Way Down is structured, it keeps you like on your toes, and I think it's also a really important subject as well.
Word.
So I wanted to say that you did really good.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And you know, and now you know that you got a whole bunch of other people to read and other books to read in that same vein. We'll take one more quick question. We'll take one more question. Okay, one more question. One more question. Just get to the microphone. We should have had you just scream it out. All right.
Hi everyone. My question is, what makes you authors choose to continue supporting Shoutmouth Press?
Great question.
I can start with that.
This joint over. You might as well hang out here.
Shoutmouth has been a super pivotal part of my life. I think that I owe so much to them, especially as someone that went in the education space. And at 16, I had no idea I was going to be a teacher. At the time, I was doing like hospitality and tourism. Like tutoring was like a side job. So like I wasn't really thinking about going into education, but I'm so glad that I did, because being able to say that you're an author is great on your resume for teaching. Like, but also just like Shoutmouth has done so much for me. Even just inviting me out here and giving me the opportunity to talk about this and thinking about Man Up to include in the anthology out of all, 32 Reach books and 64 Shoutmouth Press books. Like the fact that they thought about Man Up, it just means so much to me. And I can always forever, you can reach out to me anytime, continuously support them, because they have always supported me and through all aspects of my life.
For me, their mission and what they stand for, I am a strong believer in teaching the whole person, social, emotionally, physically, mentally, and Shoutmouth Press gives you that platform to voice those things. So you can even see it here on the panel, the people on the right here in front with their stories, that each and every story has a different point of view. It's a different means of how we said it, why we said it. But at the end of the day, it's our voices that are on paper that will forever live on. And I think that's the biggest piece. She gave us space to give our voice and also still give us a platform to share why we did it, how we did it, and why it was so important that those books need to live on. So even before being an educator, I've been running from being an educator. My mom would tell you that. My dad would tell you that. I've been running from it from the longest. But I've realized that those books matter. Reading matters. Like what you said earlier, those graphic novels, if you didn't know, they're on the third, fourth, like in my third grade classroom, those graphic novels are considered books. Even though they have a lot of pictures, that's a lot, it's a lot of comprehension that goes into it. So like, it just makes me realize that like she gave me that platform to show the kids that like how important these books are. So, yeah.
Okay, now it's good. So for me, I can say the Shoutmouth, I continue with Shoutmouth because they believe in me even when I didn't. When Kathy came to us, I didn't know that I had a story. I always feel ashamed how I came, what I like. I was like, I don't know the language, I don't know anyone. And when she talked to us about doing Voices Sin Fronteras, I was like, someone is believing in me even though she didn't know who I was. And I feel that that doesn't have a price. And Shoutmouth is not just a nonprofit. It's like a family who's always like checking on us, how we doing, even if we already like, I'm a mother that already have a daughter, and Kat is still checking on us, how you doing. So I just feel that's more than just a book. It's like a long way to continue with them as long as they allow us to do it. I can say it's a family for me because, like I say, I didn't believe in me. I didn't believe that my story mattered. And thanks to them, here I am, and I'm going to continue sharing my story with as many people as possible.
Real quick, I think I'll just echo what I'm hearing in all of our responses, which is that we don't support Shoutmouth. Shoutmouth supports us, and that's why we continue to show up. because we receive resources and support in this space that can be hard to find in other places. And when that happens, you want to give back, and you want to give back to your community, and you want to give back to your fellow young authors. And so that's why we continue to show up.
Well, I just want to say, happy 10 years. We appreciate you. Also, shout out to Alexa. Y'all know Alexa? Unsung. We got to shout out Alexa, too, because Alexa be out here getting it done. So shout out to you, Alexa, and thank you, Kathy. And are we done? Is it your turn?
It can be my turn now. I swear we did not plant that final question. I promise. That was Litzy, who is one of Shoutmouth's very first authors who asked that question. There she is. Okay. I know, though, we had so much to say. I know we've run a little late. I know you all are hungry. So let's wrap it up. I've got a few quick things to do to wrap us up. Announcements and gratitude, right? All right, announcements. We are officially announcing the Bright Before Us writing contest. Huzzah! There we go. This is Shoutmouth's first writing contest ever, but you know that the tagline for this book is igniting a new generation of writers, so we're leaning into that. You can go to this website and find out all kinds of details. It's officially opening in a couple weeks, but you guys got the sneak peek. And any educators in the house? Do we have any teachers? All right, educators. Thanks to the DC Rotary Club, if they're here. Yay, all right, thank you, DC Rotary Club. The DC Rotary Club and some really generous donors in here. The first 10 teachers who schedule a Bright Before Us author talk will get a full classroom set of Bright Before Us books. And we'll do a writing workshop with your students and encourage them to be submitting their work, okay? So stay tuned and you can find out more there. Cool, now I'm at gratitude. I'm sort of overflowing with gratitude right now. So I'll try and keep it brief, but thank you to all of the Shoutmouth authors that are up here on stage and that are out here in the crowd tonight, first and foremost. Thank you to Jason for being here tonight and always. Thank you to my Shoutmouth team, who is really incredible, and I am deeply grateful. And to all of you all for being here. I will also reiterate our thanks for the amazing folks at Planet Word. This is a special place. They're a great team to work with, and just thank you for creating this space for us word nerds. We love it. We love you. Thank you. And a reminder, thanks to our sponsors at Artemis Ward, our friends and sponsors, as well as the DC Commission of Arts and Humanities that supports all our work. All right, DC Commission. All right, so now it is time to celebrate these authors and each other. First, if you would like to get your book signed, we're going to do a book signing up here on the stage. So that means I need all the Bright Before Us authors to come up on stage. If you already have your book, great, you can line up over there and we will do a signing line through here. If you do not yet have your book, there's a book sales table right outside the door. All the books are for sale, not just Bright Before Us, but all 13 of the books that are included in here. So, you know, holiday shopping, great gifts, go for it. Second, there's a reception out there, so there's food and snacks and drinks. And folks, look out for anyone who has a blue button on. That means they're Shoutmouth fam, and you can ask them about their work, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody.
If you would like to have your book signed, the line begins right here. Line begins right here on this side. this aisle, and we're gonna line you up heading straight back. Once again, if you would like to have your book signed, please line up on the right side of the auditorium.